In this video, I'm going to talk about 13 things you need to know before moving to Naples, Florida. Guys, if you're looking for a channel where everything is about Collier County, Lee County, Southwest Florida, this is it, all right? I've been living here for almost 10 years. I'm a realtor. I love living here, and I wanted to be direct, upfront with you guys and just talk about my experiences with my clients. I just like to be somebody that can offer you some value, you know, what it's like to live down here in Southwest Florida. Make sure you watch through the end. Some of these items are very important. Even if you already live down here, I think you're gonna find that some of these items are interesting. So without further ado, let's go to number one, golf communities. Golf, right? Golf is a way of life for many people. These items I'm going to talk about today are going to be pretty broad. There's mainly three different types of golf communities here in Southwest Florida. You have your bundled golf communities, you have your public golf communities, and then we have your equity or non-equity golf communities. So public golf communities, some of them that come to mind would be Stony Brook and Estero, Valencia Country Club in Naples. So what that means is anybody can really go and play. You're going to say, well, what's the advantage of that? The advantage of that is that you're going to have lower homeowner associations fees, and you're still going to have a golf course in your backyard. Let's talk about bundled golf communities, right? Quite a few of those throughout the entire Southwest Florida. Collier County, there's over 75 golf courses. Bundled golf communities like, I'm just thinking Heritage Bay, the Esplanade, Vasari, right? The list goes on. The golf fees are bundled in your HOA fees. So usually you're going to pay a higher yearly or monthly, quarterly, however they're going to bill you. But I like to look at costs in a yearly manner. So you're going to pay yearly fees, but you're also going to get to enjoy a private golf club, right? The good tee times in the morning. Everybody wants to play golf in the morning. It gets really hot in the afternoons, as you know, here in Florida. So those are all going to be allotted for the members, right? The fees can range between $8,000 and $15,000 a year in bundled in HOA fees. So it's bundled, right? Those fees also include your other amenities like your clubhouses, beautiful landscaping. Now remember, if you don't play golf, right, you can live in a beautiful community like that, but you're going to be paying for all those fees for the course if you're not playing golf. So something to keep in mind. Equity or non-equity, which just means that equity means the members technically own the golf course, so they'll elect a board of members in the board, and they will make decisions like repairs and things like that. But so those are private golf courses. So the really high-end communities in Southwest Florida, Gray Oaks, Talus Park, Mediterra, Miramar Lakes, they have different types of membership, social. That can get a little confusing, and I understand. I'm just talking briefly here, but usually you're going to pay between $60,000 and $85,000 just to join the golf. And then once you're a member, there's yearly maintenance fees. Now, some of the higher end communities like Gray Oaks, for example, that's $200,000 to join their golf membership. Quail West is $150,000. You know, so some of the really high end communities have higher fees. Just to join, you have your yearly maintenance. Again, spectacular communities. Call me, I'd be happy to clarify and discuss some more opportunities in those areas for you. Number two, what's the difference of a single family home, a coach home, a town home, a condo? There's all these different types of villa. There's all these different types of structures, building structures here. And I just wanted to clarify that really quickly for you guys, because I do get asked that a lot. Say, hey, what's a coach home, right? Single family home is obviously a single family home. A townhouse would be typically a place where you drive up. Your garage is going to be in the first floor, but you're gonna have a first level and a second level. Your living space is in the first floor and your bedrooms are on the second level. That's a townhome. A coach home now is a little bit different. They're still going to have their garages. You're going to drive up to your garage, but you're going to have a one floor unit. So either you're going to have a first floor unit or a second floor unit. So if you have a second floor unit, you drive up to your garage, you walk straight up to the stairs, and you go straight to your unit. Usually the second level units are a little bit larger, between maybe 1,722, 24, some are larger, 27, 3,000 square feet, depending what community you're in. But your first floor units typically are a little smaller because you have to account for the garage space. Now when you're talking about a villa, usually we talk about attached villas. So it's a structure that looks like a single family home, but there are two units. So it's kind of like a duplex. It's going to be attached villas is what you're going to find throughout most of Southwest Florida. Square footage wise, you see them ranging between 14, 17. I think the villas at Esplanade by the islands are 1,900 square feet, which is pretty nice, a little bit on the larger side for a villa. Like Miramar Lakes, calls their villas, a single family home is what they call a villa, between 2,500 and 3,500 square feet. So when you get to some of the higher end communities, they'll have their own terms, which makes it even more complicated for everybody to know, what in the world is everybody talking about. But usually that gives you a pretty good idea of the structures that you're going to see down here. Number 3, family life, things to do. On my previous videos, I got some comments from people saying, hey, Naples got nothing to do. I have nothing to do here. It's pretty boring. And I thought of a few things just off the top of my head. For example, first I'm going to talk about something that it's my favorite thing to do. So I'm big into arts. I'm a pianist. I should call myself a hack pianist. I play a little bit of music. Naples Artis, Baker Museum, and they also have a hall where they have the Naples Philharmonic. It's like Vienna Philharmonic was here last year. I got to enjoy, they did a piano concerto, the Beethoven, the Emperor. I missed, they did a Rachmaninoff, I think it was the second piano concerto. I mean, they do some pretty incredible stuff, but they do all kinds of things. So they don't only do orchestral stuff, they also do like ballet, they do Broadway. A lot of fun to go. Really, really good, really cool stuff, really high-end stuff. London Club, which is at the Bella Sera Hotel, right? You can watch some live jazz if you like music. I'm just talking about a couple music things that I enjoy right now, so bear with me. But we're coming to the good stuff here. There's water parks throughout Southwest Florida. There's some in Naples. There's a water park in Cape Coral. I mean, they're a lot of fun for the kids. The beach, obviously, the beach is a whole thing in its own, and listen, guys, if you like the beaches here are really beautiful. They're amazing. We're in the Gulf side, so you don't get all the waves that you get in the East Coast, which is pretty cool if you have little kids. Like I have little kids, and even if you don't have little kids, I mean, even before I had kids, I don't like all the waves and all that. I'm not a surfer. If you're a surfer, you're not going to enjoy it as much. But if you just want to go out, go in the water is nice and warm, relax a little bit. Sanibel Island is just fantastic to spend a couple of days. There's great shelling there. You can go all the way up to North Captiva. There's some shelling by the lighthouse, which is really good. There's nice shops and restaurants. It's just a really nice vibe, really nice environment. The JN Ding Darling Park is there as well, which is like a mile or two. But you can either walk the trail and see some wildlife, or I love to. One of my favorite things to do is I love riding my bike. I have a little road bike, and you can almost ride the whole island. You can rent bikes. They have a lot of bike rentals there as well, so that's a good thing, fun thing to do. Golf is a huge thing, which we already talked about golf, but down here, I mean, my goodness, there's people that live, eat, and breathe golf. If you like malls, high-end shops like the Waterside Shops, Coastland Mall, the Miramar outlets are fantastic. It's an open mall, walk around, there's a lot of restaurants there. If you're into watching sports, we have Fenway South where, my Boston Red Sox, I don't follow baseball that much, but the Red Sox, they have their summer camp there. Also the Minnesota Twins are at the Hammond Stadium in Fort Myers as well, but that's fun. You get some tickets, go in for the day and watch them play some baseball. Naples Zoo, the Naples Botanical Garden, the farmers market at the Vanderbilt Shops on Saturdays, Coconut Point Mall on the weekdays. They have farmers markets, which is right down the street. Right now, I'm at the our Bonita Springs office right next to Angelina's. So up the street is the Coconut Point Mall, and there's farmers markets there and a bunch of shops and restaurants in there as well. Nightlife, there's always new bars, restaurants coming up. Naples annual Christmas walk and the tree lighting. We have the Naples Bay, the boat parade. There's the craft beer festival, the wine festival, the National Arts Festival, and then lastly, about things to do, guys. We're close to Disney. I mean, it's about maybe 2.5, 3-hour drive to Disney. Busch Gardens in Tampa, and then again East Coast. When some people say there's nothing to do in Naples, I just don't buy it. Okay, there's just plenty to do over here. Number 4, school system. So let's talk about Collier County first. And by the way, whenever I say Naples, guys, I'm referring to Collier County as a whole. Like Naples itself is pretty small. Whenever I say, just to make sure you guys understand that, when I say Naples, I mean Collier. Collier County is what I'm talking about, okay? So in Collier County, the school systems are overall rated A and B schools. So the school system in Naples are very good. Now, if you move to Naples, your child is going to go to the zone where you live. So it goes by zones and districts, right? So the reason I'm saying that is because in Lee County, so if you live in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, or Lehigh Acres, they have what's called school choice. So you can send your child, you can actually apply, you can live, in the Gateway area and send your kid, whatever, and the other side of town to school. Naples, you cannot do that. So it's very important if you have school-age children You want to make sure that you are doing your due diligence and looking at schools, seeing maybe which schools you like. I actually know somebody from the Naples School Board, and she's adamant about this. She says, listen, parents, make sure that you are meeting with the principal. The principals will love to show you the school, do a meet and greet. They're going to show you around, answer any questions you may have. That's a huge leap, right? You want to make sure your kids see the school and they're happy with it. There's also a lot of private schools throughout the entire Southwest Florida. I'm doing a separate video on the cost of living in Naples. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The average private school in Naples is about 10,000-15,000 here. The actual average is 10,888. And from Massachusetts, where I'm from, the average there is 23,000 a year for private schools. So remember that as well. If you are planning on sending your kids to private school, the prices overall are better for private schools down here for great education as well. But if you're looking for public schools, make sure you're looking at the zoning map. I'll put some links. One is from the Florida Department of Education. It's going to show the grades per county in the state of Florida. And I'm going to show you, there's niche.com. There's some websites that kind of talk a little bit more in depth about it. I don't want to take up too much time here. But again, feel free to call me. I'd love to chat more with you about that. Number 5, crime rates. According to Gulf Shore Business, Naples Daily News, ESPN, SWFL, which is our local ESPN here, they rated Lee County and Collier County amongst the top 3 safest areas in the state of Florida to live in. So this is compared to all metropolitan Florida counties. Collier County has the lowest crime rate. Let's not be silly, guys. Crime happens everywhere, right? There's crime apps that you can go online and look up. Overall, this is a really safe area to live in. Number 6, HOAs. To HOA or not to HOA. So that's a pretty big topic, and I wanted to make sure I covered that a little bit here. So an HOA means a homeowners association. Some people will say, I do not want to touch a homeowners association. It's impossible for me to go through every detail, nook and cranny, but I want to generalize a little bit. When you think about owning your home, that community association is also going to own your home, right? They're going to be deeded. They're going to be in your deed. So what that means is if you're doing anything that's violating the rules or regulations, or if you don't pay their fees, they are powerful enough where they can actually foreclose in your home, okay? So that sounds a little scary at first, but let's talk through it a little bit, right? You're going to pay your monthly fees. They're going to charge you whatever your quarterly or your monthly or yearly dues are. And they're going to basically play whatever role they're supposed to play. So generally speaking, most HOAs, they're going to offer some kind of security, a gate. It could be a guarded gate, or it could be just like one of those electronic gates where you pull up, you put in your driver's license, like in a Verra system. They verify that you have authorization to go in, like your guests have authorization to come in, the gate will open. It's not a foolproof system, but it's better than nothing. Collier County, Lee County in general is safe, but yes, of course, there are crimes everywhere. Another thing that they'll play a role is in the beautification of the community, right? So in an HOA community, there's usually standards. So everybody has to mow their lawn. Their lawns have to be, well kept. And if you're driving by somebody's house, it's got, 3 feet of lawn overgrown. You don't want that as your neighbor. I don't want that as my neighbor. I'll just tell you up front, So the HOA is basically going to send them a violation, say, hey, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, you need to mow your lawn, or we're going to start charging you, we're going to start billing you, right? That's just a small thing about it. But for example, if your driveway needs to be power washed, or your roof looks like it's falling apart, hey, you need a new roof, right? So it has to do with the beautification, which has to do with the value. All of the high-end communities are not on an HOA. Most of the golf course high-end communities, like I said, your Telus Park, your Mediterras, your Gray Oaks, your Miramar Lakes, to say again, Renaissance and Fort Myers. I mean, there's a bunch of them, right? Quill West. Those communities are in HOAs, but then you can go to non-HOA communities like Port Royal, Royal Harbor, Coquina Sands, Moorings, Naples Park, Pine Ridge Estates. So these are huge, like Willoughby Acres, even great neighborhood there. They don't have an HOA body. They're not governed by anything, but the residents have real stake in real estate there, because the real estate is so valuable that you're going to find, those homes are always going to be in pristine condition. It's going to be incredible aesthetically speaking, and they're not in HOAs. I just touched a little bit on that. I know there's a lot more conversations to be had. I don't want to take the whole video on this, but call me again. We can talk more about that if you have any more questions about whether you want to be in an HOA or non-HOA. Number 7, types of people. I wanted to really just kind of talk about what numbers look like as far as the census is concerned, or demographics as far as race, ethnicity, and also voting records. This is Collier County, okay? White, non-Hispanic, 88.8%. White, Hispanic, 4.45%. Black or African American, non-Hispanic, 4.42%. 2 plus, meaning 2 or more, non-Hispanic, 0.958%. Asian, non-Hispanic, 0.83%. Let's talk about the politics and voting. So this is according to bestplaces.net. So the political climate in Naples is somewhat conservative. So 37.3% voted Democrat in the last presidential election, and 61.9% voted for the Republican Party, and the remainder voted independent. Now, what I like to say about that, because I had my other YouTube videos had a lot of comment about the types of people that live here and whatnot. And it's interesting because I think we all have a different experience, right? So I choose to associate myself with people that are like-minded. I love networking, I love business, I love to work, I love to be busy, I love to do things, I love to enjoy life, right? I love to go out. I do love boating, I don't do enough of that. At the end of the day, I think you end up attracting and you find the people that, you most kind of associate with, and you hang out with those people, and they may not be your neighbors, they may or may not be. I don't care if people are black, blue, white, brown, yellow, orange, that doesn't matter to me. I just, I think that's a great way to live, is just to take people at their, at their value, right? Number 8, let's talk about jobs. We do have a lower unemployment rate versus the national averages. So we're at 1.9 for April 2022 versus 3.6% at the rest of the country. I feel like everywhere you drive here, everybody's hiring. If you have a skill set, if you have a trade or skill, you're not going to have a hard time finding work here. We need a lot more trade people, a lot more skilled workers. When it comes to multinationals, we have Gartner, we have Hertz, that's actually right down the street here, the headquarters. Arthrex is a pretty big multinational company here. And we're not a hub like, from Massachusetts and Boston. I mean, it's a tech hub, right? There's tech companies, there's startups, and there's all this stuff going on. And this is not exactly the landscape in Naples, although I think it's going to be changing as time goes on. I do see I'm meeting more entrepreneurial people starting their new businesses in the tech world, which I love to see that personally. But we're not there, right? When it comes to you can compete with California, Boston, or whatever, right? These major hub cities in the country, New York, wealth management sector. That's a huge industry here. Attorneys, and then you have dentists, doctors, nurses. Those are always in need down here. On the service industry, because there's so many retirees down here, there's a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs to come down and start their own businesses that services and serves that community. Number 9, restaurants. So guys, you're going to be wined and dined in Naples, Collier County, Lee County. I mean, there's restaurants galore. I don't even know where to start with this, but you go to 5th Ave, 3rd Ave, you have your nicer restaurants, great atmosphere. Mercado has some great restaurants. Your chains, like high-end chain places like Ruth's Chris, Capitol Grill. My wife's favorite restaurant, for example, for Italian food is Campiello's on 3rd. I'm more of a steak guy. We just went, actually, we had a little family trip, mini family vacation at the Ritz Golf Resort. They put a water park in there, which is really fun. The kids had a lot of fun. And we went to dinner at T. Michael's on Venetian Village, which, restaurants there too. If you're looking for real authentic food, sometimes maybe it lacks that, although there's a lot of Cuban restaurants. I'm Brazilian, but I love Cuban food, Indian cuisine. You're gonna find that there's some good places. The East Coast, I think, has us beat in some of the really authentic food. But, prove me wrong, maybe send me some recommendations in the area here. I always love trying your restaurants. Oh, one more thing about that. I want to talk about the pizza down here, which is always a complaint, especially from New Yorkers. So I suppose the issue is that they haven't been able to crack the code on getting the perfect dough down here, because it has to do with the water. I think the water they have, up north is different than water down here, so they can't get the same flavor of dough down here. And you will find that the pizza down here is not as good as up north. So if you can crack that code, you're going to be very wealthy because everybody's going to be eating your pizza. Number 10, we're going to talk about boating. Boating is a way of life, just like golf is. For a lot of people, boating is a way of life down here. There's a lot to be said. That could be a whole YouTube video again, so I'm going to touch on some of the basics. When it comes to Collier County, you're going to find that the best, I think in my opinion, the best bang for your buck, if you want to buy in a boating community, you want to live in Royal Harbor. So if you look at the map where Royal Harbor is located, right, there's direct access, so you're going to have direct access to the Gulf, no bridges. You're near Key Waden Island, which is a place that people love to go, and you can just pretty much go anywhere, right, boating wise. The prices in there, you can get a knockdown home. They call them knockdown homes, but some of the homes are actually pretty beautiful. They're just a little bit on the smaller side and a little older in the 60s or 70s, but they usually have been renovated throughout the years. Once they're knocked down and they're rebuilt, the prices are usually 7 to 10 million plus, right around 7 million plus. When you're looking at, waterfront property in Naples, direct Gulf access, no bridges, in that price point, in the say 2-3 millions, that's pretty much your best bang for the buck, right? Because then you're going to have to get into Aqualane Shores, which is more expensive. You're going to get into Port Royal, and then if you have waterfront property in Gulf Shore or the moorings, that's also going to be in the upper, the tens of millions. That's kind of my little nugget there. If you want to have your own boating property, then obviously you got the whole coast up to Bonita. There's opportunities in Bonita Springs, Fort Myers Beach, by McGregor Boulevard, and then I want to bring something else to your attention, which is Cape Coral. Cape Coral is something to think about if boating is your life, right? Because there's 4 quadrants in Cape Coral. Some of those properties in Cape Coral have freshwater canal systems, which really will never get out in the Gulf, but a lot of the homes are your saltwater canal systems, which is going to get you into the Gulf. If you like fishing, if you like diving, scuba diving, right, you can go farther out. One thing that I want to talk about boating too, our water's not as deep as the East Coast. So because we're in the Gulf, you really don't need anything. If your boat's between a 20-footer and a 40-footer max, okay, 50-footer breaking, you're fine because you don't have the waters that you have on the East Coast. So it's something, you want to think about. You don't need as big of a boat, and you can still have a great time in the water. As you go north, just talking about a little bit key boating points here, have Lover's Key. They do have a dog beach there as well, which is very cool. I used to have a little dog I used to bring out there all the time, Riley. He passed away not too long ago, but yeah, so he used to love the dog beach. And you can go to Cayo Costa, North Captiva, the Cheeseburgers in Paradise Island there. What is it? A Cabbage Key. So Cabbage Key has their own inn. They have a restaurant there. There's just a lot of fun. Another quick point for the uninitiated like myself, I didn't know anything about boats until I moved down here. I still don't know a lot, but there is a Freedom Boat Club, and what it is you pay a yearly fee. I think that's throughout the country, but they do have a pretty strong presence here where you pay a fee. It's like, I don't know, it's like, don't quote me, $6,500, $8,500 or something like that, and then you pay a monthly fee and you get to schedule a boat. So if you're going to go out every weekend or a few times a week, it's worth doing that. You can explore the waters, learn if that's really something you want to do before you go out and buy a boat, get that expense. I know a few people that do it and they absolutely love it. And then lastly, worthy mention when it comes to boating, there are a few communities that are freshwater, lake boating here. So the Quarry is a very nice community in North Naples. That's a very well-known boating community. Longshore Lake, which is a little closer to, it's off of Immokalee Road, a little closer to 75. That you can have an electric motor, but that's also a boating community. And then you have Miramar Lakes in South Fort Myers and Esplanade Lake Club, which share a Lake Como, the same lake there. So there is freshwater boating opportunities, not as much as like Orlando, for example. There's huge lakes everywhere, but we do have opportunities for that here as well. If you want to live with, with a lake in your backyard where you can just throw your boat out and have fun fishing or doing water sports. Number 11, fishing. I'm not a great fisherman. I actually don't even know how to fish. I'll be honest with you guys. You can crucify me later, but I'm not very good at it. This falls more under things to do, but I wanted to talk about it because fishing itself is also kind of a way of life for a lot of people. You can go to the Naples Pier and go fishing. That's where I bring my kids to, just kind of go out. You bring a couple fishing poles and throw in the water and just have a good afternoon. If you're serious about fishing, I pulled up a list of the types of fish we have here, like red snapper, black grouper, gag grouper, I don't know what that is, scamp grouper, red grouper, so all kinds of groupers apparently. Snook. Snook is actually really, really yummy. There's seasons for it. Mullet, Florida pompano. And you see people fishing pretty much anywhere, like in the lakes around the communities. Any spot there's water, you see somebody out there with a fishing pole. Just for fun, to bring up the whole alligator thing. A lot of people freak out about alligators. The alligators are really not as big of a deal as people make them to be. They're really pretty much harmless, as long as you don't bother them, you let them be. The chances that they're going to come after you are pretty slim to none. If the bigger ones, if you see those huge alligators, you can call animal control. They'll come out to your community. They'll take them out of the water and take them away. It is a little creepy, I guess, a little freaky if you think about it, but they're everywhere in Florida. I mean, we're in Florida, we're in their territory. That's my opinion, okay? Number 12, I want to talk about Airbnb and investors and investment properties. This one is an interesting one because I do get people calling me a lot and say, hey, Felipe, I saw this house that you sent me. It's at X community and I want to buy it, and then I want to, whenever I'm not using it, I just want to Airbnb it or VRBO it. Well, you can't do that. So let me explain a little bit about how that works, okay? If you are within a community, that community, when I say community, I mean with HOA rules, like we talked about earlier, they're going to have their set of rules on how long and how often. So what are the minimum durations you can rent that place for? Most communities, you're going to find they're going to allow 3 to 4 leases per year. So that means that each lease, and they have to be a minimum of 30 days. So if you say, hey, I'm not coming down next season, right? Let's say you want to rent it out from January through April. You could do that, no problem. You could have a management company do it for you if you'd like. We have them here at our brokerage. You could do it yourself, but you can't just put it on Airbnb and say, hey, I'm going to rent this nightly or weekly. Now, some communities will allow that. So that's very important. There's ways that I can search for that. So call me if you're looking for something. I'm looking for something right now for one of my old friends that wants to buy an investment property down here. And he wants something that's going to allow at least a 7-day or weekly rentals. And some buildings do allow that. Some condos allow that. There's a condotel, the Naples Bay Marina, that'll allow daily. They'll even manage it. It's like a hotel. So they'll allow daily rentals for you. So those opportunities are there as well. But in most cases, guys, keep in mind, it's very important when you're finding a community to live here that you do plan on renting it out. So that's key. Now, if we go outside of an HOA community, Naples Park, for example, is a very hot area for Airbnbs because there's no HOA governing bodies. And then there's an area in Southeast Naples that has some homes, also single-family homes. That are not in an HOA. So those you can do, you can set them up, have your Airbnb, have your daily rentals, do whatever you want to do there. If you have any more questions, again, call me. Finally, the last item, number 13. So before moving to Naples, you have to have a really good, personable, hustler, hard worker realtor. And that would be me, guys, all right? Make sure you give me a call. You text me or email me, like I said. I really want to hear from you. I want to work with you. It is very important. I'm not just saying that. It's very important for you to have a realtor. Remember that I think it's over 85 or 86% of the homes here get sold with a realtor. The buyer side and on the seller side, most people are working with an agent. So we can find opportunities. If you really want to live in a community, there's no opportunity on market. I put somebody in Miramar Lakes a month ago. There was no inventory where she wanted the section Miramar Lakes she wanted to live in. I made a bunch of phone calls. I was going to say some, but it was a bunch of phone calls. And I was actually able to place her in the community in the little spot she wanted to be in because we found something off market for her, right? So having connections and contacts, it's also very important. Again, I know I ran through on some of the stuff. I kind of mumbled a lot on some other stuff, but if there's anything you want to expand on, you think I missed a mark, just let me know. I love hearing from you. I love your comments, and I'll see you in the next video.